lying in bed, all snuggled up, and then all of a sudden, totally caught off guard and by surprise, boom, out of nowhere. I was not ready for this. I wasn't ready for this. My heart was pounding, racing out of my chest, almost like I got caught, busted for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. My wife, now there staring at me in anger, yelling and screaming obscenities. What the fuck? How could this happen? I can't believe it. Here we go again. Damn it. The fire alarm went off at 5:22 a.m. My life.
Hey. Somebody burned their morning toast and said, I feel unready. Ridiculous.
Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And for those of you who thought or expected this video to be about my marriage, my wife and me, and our relationship, infidelity, getting caught cheating with another woman or man in bed, or any other negative or life-altering relationship problem, relationship killer, relationship destroyer, spoiler alert, this ain't that video. But it is always interesting to see how the algorithm works, and it seems as though these types of titles and thumbnails are much more effective at getting people to click. Now, I wonder why that is. Sure, some of you may click off the video now, but that's all right. It's okay. But all I can say is, sorry, not sorry. Now, there's a lot that I want to discuss with you all. The main reason that we will be running out of money, the dollar crash and potential dollar collapse, Janet Yellen talking to JP Morgan and Citigroup, food shortages and empty shelves. Don't you find it kind of odd that the Secretary of the U.S. Treasury is having private meetings with private institutions, private bank CEOs, those who control most of the economy, most of the money? Don't you find it strange and coincidental that we only seem to have potential fuel and food shortages when it's convenient for those who could stand to make the most money? But today we're going to focus on the data, the numbers, the truth. Divorce statistics. Over time, the United States has transitioned from a country where divorce was virtually unheard of and building a successful marriage was considered a top priority, to now a place with one of the highest divorce rates in the world. Despite increased access to marital education, marriage counseling, and family therapy, divorce is an ever constant reality in our society, unfortunately. Even as the overall divorce rate is decreasing among adults ages 16 to 65. Since when do you include 16 as an adult? But either way, approximately 45% of marriages still end in divorce in the US. And the most common reasons for divorce include too much conflict, incessant arguing, lack of commitment, infidelity, extramarital affairs, lack of emotional and or physical intimacy, communication problems between partners, domestic violence, get this, abuse by a partner or parent. Those mother-in-laws, you got to watch out for them. Opposing values or morals, addiction, alcohol, drugs, gambling, or sex, absence of romantic intimacy or love, one spouse not carrying their weight in the marriage according to the other, and financial problems and debt. We can talk about that for sure, can't we? Marrying too young. Maybe that's why the 16-year-olds are included in this data. And lack of shared interests or incompatibility between partners. So what were the thoughts that ran through your mind? We're gonna break this up just a little bit. I'm gonna bring Squirrel Tribe in on this part of the video and ask her what were the thoughts rolling through your mind this morning when the alarm went off?
Oh man, so the alarm went off, and that's one of those things where it wakes you up out of such a deep sleep that you immediately want to vomit. Like, that's what my brain did. My stomach immediately said, throw up everywhere, which I did not. But my very first thought was, I hope the kid's okay, like not panicking or whatever. That's always gonna be my first thought. Then my second thought was, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Like, this is the third time since we've moved in, and it's always some jackass who's doing some dumb shit in his apartment they're not supposed to be doing, setting off an alarm. And then I realized what time it was, and I was like, well, I guess I'm up an hour early, but you know, then you sit there and think all the things you want to grab and take with you, and then you're like, I'll grab my bug out bag, and you're like, it's
in case it's actually really a fire.
Yeah, but then you're like, it's probably not even real, so why even bother?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you realize how many people don't leave the apartments, and I'm like, why would you subject yourself to this loud screeching noise? And then my other first, second, seventh thought was the family on the first floor that loves to see Max, the little boy who's probably 4 or 5, and then they have a baby who's under a year old. My other thought was, how do they deal with this when this happens? Because that's got to be a lot.
Yeah.
Trying to get a baby and a kid and a dog and yourselves out and stuff like that.
So interestingly enough, we have pretty much come to the conclusion that we're going to buy a house.
Si, senor.
For the control.
I told the kid that this morning. She was like, thank God.
For the control. For the control,
Yeah.
for the yard, for the size. How many square feet was that one you sent me this morning?
2,600.
Yeah.
It was perfect. It's a one story.
Yeah, that was good.
And the kitchen is a chef's kitchen. It has the pasta water spout drain thing, whatever it's called, on the back of the wall. Pot filler. And I was like, oh, it's so pretty.
I don't love the
outside
windows, like those arch windows on the front.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of arch windows either.
It's not my, maybe it's those drapes they got in there that's really throwing it off.
Possible.
New listing, $875,000.
And there's no pool. There's no neighborhood amenities.
Really?
Yep. So that's the downside, because it's where it is. It's close enough that you can get to the water. Like, it's like a...
That's tough. That's tough. I like it. It's nice.
But...
that's a lot of yard to cut.
Well, the back isn't, because that's part of the golf course.
Oh, it's on a golf course?
Yeah.
But $875 for no amenities?
I didn't see any amenities. Doesn't mean they're not there. I didn't see it listed anywhere.
$315 annual HOA, which is good compared to some that are like $1,500 a month.
But that's why I think there's no amenities, because it's such a low price. I think it only covers the back of the yards being covered by the landscape people, because it's on the green.
There's no mention of any pool, Oh, this is right around the corner.
Technically, yes, but not where you think it is.
Oh, okay.
You pointed the wrong direction. It's over near the water.
Huh.
Yeah, it's over on the route that we drove when we went to do the haunted house thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
2019 sold for $399.9, and 4 years later, it's listed for more than double. More than twice that amount.
Now, it was built in, I think, 96, and they have done a ton of upgrades on the inside, and they've replaced the water heater, I think, and something else in there. So they have done upgrades, but I don't think they've done $875,000.
Well, I mean, the upgrades, it would be $475.
Yeah, but I don't think they did that much, but they want to get there because houses, they jumped up in price. They want to get their profit. Understandable. I mean, that closet alone is just... Oh, I wouldn't have to get rid of anything. I'd have space. I
like how they got the dual desks set up with dual monitors on each. It's almost like they work like we do.
Yeah, which is another thought that I had when I looked at it, because size-wise, it being one story is what we want. It's brick on the outside.
The videos that you would make in that kitchen?
Oh, you don't even understand. And then I do feel bad for Max, who's over here like a bum on the floor. He went from being able to run around almost 6 acres willy-nilly to being in a 1,400 square foot apartment with not much running space or time outside. Whereas before, we're doing something, we can just open the door and let him go. That's not a possibility here, so I do feel bad for him.
But he doesn't run around. Honestly, when I take him to the dog park, he's like chill. Like, he's got about 6-7 minutes of energy in him. He's like, I just want to chill. I like that glass right there.
Exactly.
That's nice.
Yeah, the view. And I like the built-ins. It reminds me of our old house where the TV is, the built-ins.
Yeah, so I think that's the route we're going to go. I think we're going to end up with a house.
I feel like if you could talk the price down on that, you could then invest to change the windows. You know what I mean? I don't know how much it costs to change windows.
No. It's not the windows. It's the framing.
That's what I mean. Reframe.
No.
No? Because it's brick on the outside?
Yeah.
I've always said we like brick houses.
I appreciate your enthusiasm. But yeah, so I'll give you guys a quick scroll so you can see.
Scroll close.
So you can see, if I can get this in here, this is what she sent. And I like it.
It's really nice. I didn't show the kid because then she would have immediately pouted.
Normally I see stuff, yeah, it's a house. But this one, I like this one. What do y'all think?
I don't even know what lot size is. I didn't even look. Because like the pictures make it look really big because of course it's on the golf course, the green. But I don't know.
It says it is on a little over half an acre. Okay.
So the plus to a house is if the alarm goes off, smoke alarm, burglar alarm, whatever else, you have the ability.
No, we don't have. I mean, smoke alarm. No, it's a smoke detector. We wouldn't set it off.
Yeah.
We wouldn't set it off at 5 o'clock in the morning.
So if it went off, it's for a reason.
Yeah, that's the thing. But we'll cover that more on Patreon if you guys want to know more about the home buying journey that we will be on moving forward here. Clock is ticking. Come and join us on Patreon, as well as you want to know more backstory and insight and things that we're just not sharing here on YouTube. But I do want to talk about this list here that I have of the reasons, the top reasons why Americans are getting divorced. Now, crazy enough, they're basing this off of a collective group of 16 to 65-year-olds. Can you get married at 16?
You can get married at 12 in certain states, and it doesn't matter how old the other person is, which is disgusting. But keep going.
All right. So, too much conflict and incessant arguing. How do you get to the point where you get married, but then you have too much conflict and arguing unless you were already doing that before you got married?
I don't think it matters if you're doing it before you got married. I think if you're already doing it before you get married, that's a massive red flag not to get married. But I think those things kick in after you get married, especially if you have children, because there's an extra stress. If you both have jobs and there's work stress that you bring home with you, literally anything could start it. And the problem is most people that have those bickering fights to the point where they end up getting divorced are the ones who fight instead of communicate.
The next one on the list is lack of, I'm sorry, I misread it. I thought we're going down a little bit further. Communication problems between partners is on the list.
Yeah. I mean, that to me is the main reason that people would end up getting divorced, because communication problems, if you can't communicate with each other, you can't make sure that you are fulfilling the other person's needs. You can't ensure that they are happy. You can't ensure that the love is still there. You can't ensure anything if you're not communicating.
I guess the real question comes to is like, why did you get married to begin with? That would be the real question. Because, you really wanted to, because you love one another, or was there some other reason?
Got knocked up for the...
Because everybody's doing it. Oh, yeah. I really wanted a wedding. I wanted a dress. I wanted a party, or whatever it may be. The next one is lack of commitment. So ultimately, you get married, but that's not where your heart is.
You don't. So is it okay? So I'm going to ask: is lack of commitment meaning monogamy, or is lack of commitment meaning putting in the effort as a husband or a wife?
Well, it says next is infidelity and extramarital affairs.
So then, lack of commitment to me would be putting in the effort to be a spouse, to be part of a marriage, as opposed to just being individuals.
Yeah. So I guess this is kind of similar to what I was talking about on the live stream yesterday, where it was a relationship. What was that one called? It was relationships outside of marriage.
Yeah.
And now we are breaking up. Now, a lot of people misunderstood that title. They didn't watch or listen to what we had to say or what I had to say.
Which is, then they didn't misunderstand the title if they didn't watch or listen. All they did was make assumptions.
Because that is like me trying to get into a relationship with someone to help them start a business, grow a business, build a channel, make money, or whatever it may be. And if they don't have that commitment,
You're breaking up.
then you're not going to succeed.
Yeah.
Okay. So ultimately, I would break that up. I would break that up. If not, you've already broken up because you're not doing your part. You know, you go 80, I go 20. Don't go to 400. But that's what I was talking about. But then I got to think, like, if people misunderstood that live stream title and thumbnail, if they didn't really listen, then how does this happen in a marriage where both sides are thinking and hearing and seeing what they want that isn't actually true, not listening to the other one, and just all in their own little worlds? And
Well, that's how it happens. They're in their own little worlds because they're not able or willing. I'm going to say willing or able. I think willing is the main part, not able. They're not willing to step outside of their comfort zone to see things from their spouse's perspective or to understand where their spouse is coming from, especially if it makes them feel some type of way like they've done something wrong or they're lacking, because nobody wants to feel like it's their fault. So it's easier to stay inside your head and make it that it's your spouse's fault instead of your own.
now we are actually short on time. We got to get going because we need to hit the road and head up to Atlanta. But we've got to talk about infidelity, extramarital affairs, lack of emotional and or physical intimacy, domestic violence, get this, abuse by a partner or a parent. Think about how many parents are involved in their children's marriage.
Oh, way too many.
We got to talk about the opposing values or morals, addiction, alcohol, drugs, gambling, sex, absence of romantic intimacy or love, which I guess are two totally different things.
Yes.
One spouse not carrying the weight in the marriage that they should. Financial problems and debt, which carrying the weight, sometimes you got to realize that
It's not always going to be 50-50. Sometimes you need it to be 80-20. Sometimes you need it to be 100-0, depending on what each other is going through.
Yeah.
And as a spouse, you have to be willing to understand what your other spouse needs and pick up or put down whatever is necessary.
financial problems and debt, marrying too young, lack of shared interests, and incompatibility between partners are all things that we are going to continue discussing on Patreon, where Michelle and I are sharing our personal experiences, unedited, uncensored, and unrestricted. I hope you guys come and join us. Engage with us in these real conversations with real people having real talk, not trying to be politically correct or speaking in code to appease the masses or the algorithm in fear of suppression and being silenced. Our discussions will be far and wide, from relationships, personal and business, politics, religion, global events, life, changes in life, love, hate, and so much more. Link in the description down below. Lots of people have already joined, and we look forward to seeing you all there.
That's all I got.